My name is Dr. Isaac Harrow, Paranormal Documentation, Charleston Historical Society. This is an archival deep dive into the abandoned psychiatric facility known as Merriwick Hill Asylum, built in 1947, closed in 1986. What lies inside, no one speaks about anymore, but they should. Audio log, April 12, 1953, Staff Wing, Merriwick Hill Asylum, recorded by Nurse Elaine Marrow. 6:03 p.m., Wing B. We received another intake today. Male, age 34, schizophrenic diagnosis, unresponsive to name, covered in scratch marks, repeating the same word over and over. We couldn't understand it at first. He won't stop looking at the hallway mirror. I caught my reflection twitching before he did. Dr. Lark suggested ECT within 48 hours. No sedatives. Says the shadows respond better when he's awake. I don't know what he means. Someone locked my medicine drawer again? I heard a knock in the empty stairwell. Patient 34 stopped screaming at 3:13 a.m. last night. Not because he was sedated. His mouth was open. He just ran out of breath. This place forgets nothing. I found this recording buried beneath the main floor filing room, covered in mold and blood-stained paper. There are 6 more reels. Some still play, some scream. But the strange part? Nurse Elaine Marrow never existed in the official staff records. I returned to Merriwick Hill 2 days after discovering Nurse Elaine's reel. The building had been boarded up since 1986, but someone had broken the west window. Inside, the air smelled like burnt paper and rusted metal. I found the second tape beneath a broken filing cabinet in the records room, wrapped in hospital gauze. It was labeled Wing C, audio log, October 27, 1954. Dr. Lark, private session. This is Dr. Simon Lark, psychiatric lead, Wing C, room 12. Patient 17 female, age unknown, transferred from Ravenscar Asylum, no surviving family, no formal name. Staff call her Marion. She does not respond to voices, only vibrations. She carves symbols into the walls with her fingernails, circles, always overlapping. Staff painted over them 4 times. They return. Last night, her heartbeat flatlined for 13 minutes. She came back, not alive, but responsive. She told me something in a voice not her own. She said, "Don't let the light in. They'll see you." I locked the wing tonight. There are knocks, but no feet. The hallway breathes when I close my eyes. I think Marion is remembering me in ways I haven't lived yet. Ending log. I need to go. Something just whispered through the stethoscope. When the tape stopped, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Not on the ground, on the wall. I turned. Nothing. But the gauze the reel was wrapped in, it was warm, as if someone had just used it. I'll be going deeper into Wing C tonight. They say no light reaches the back corridor, but the next tape was labeled, "Do not play after 3:13 a.m. Tape my name is Dr. Isaac Harrow, Paranormal Documentation, Charleston Historical Society. This is an archival deep dive into the abandoned psychiatric facility known as Merriwick Hill Asylum, built in 1947, closed in 1986. What lies inside, no one speaks about anymore, but they should. Audio log, April 12, 1953. Staff Wing, Merriwick Hill Asylum, recorded by Nurse Elaine Marrow. 6:03 p.m., Wing B. We received another intake today. Male, age 34, schizophrenic diagnosis, unresponsive to name, covered in scratch marks, repeating the same word over and over. We couldn't understand it at first. He won't stop looking at the hallway mirror. I caught my reflection twitching before he did. Dr. Lark suggested ECT within 48 hours. No sedatives. Says the shadows respond better when he's awake. I don't know what he means. Someone locked my medicine drawer again. I heard a knock in the empty stairwell. Patient 34 stopped screaming at 3:13 a.m. last night. Not because he was sedated, his mouth was open, he just ran out of breath. This place forgets nothing. I found this recording buried beneath the main floor filing room, covered in mold and bloodstained paper. There are 6 more reels. Some still play, some scream. But the strange part? Nurse Elaine Marrow never existed in the official staff records. I returned to Merriwick Hill 2 days after discovering Nurse Elaine's reel. The building had been boarded up since 1986, but someone had broken the west window. Inside, the air smelled like burnt paper and rusted metal. I found the second tape beneath a broken filing cabinet in the records room, wrapped in hospital gauze. It was labeled Wing C Audio Log, October 27, 1954. Dr. Lark, private session. This is Dr. Simon Lark, psychiatric lead, Wing C, room 12. Patient 17, female, age unknown, transferred from Ravenscar Asylum. No surviving family, no formal name. Staff call her Marion. She does not respond to voices, only vibrations. She carves symbols into the walls with her fingernails, circles, always overlapping. Staff painted over them 4 times. They return. Last night, her heartbeat flatlined for 13 minutes. She came back. Not alive, but responsive. She told me something in a voice not her own. She said, "Don't let the light in. They'll see you." I locked the wing tonight. There are knocks, but no feet. The hallway breathes when I close my eyes. I think Marion is remembering me in ways I haven't lived yet. Ending log. I need to go. Something just whispered through the stethoscope. When the tape stopped, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. Not on the ground. On the wall. I turned. Nothing. But the gauze the reel was wrapped in. It was warm, as if someone had just used it. I'll be going deeper into Wing C tonight. They say no light reaches the back quarter, but the next tape was labeled, "Do not play after 3:13 a.m." I waited until nightfall before playing the third tape. Not because I was scared, because I was warned, but at exactly 3:11 a.m. I sat in my car parked just outside Merriwick Hill's locked front gate. I connected the reel to digital converter, plugged in headphones, pressed play. Audio memo, November 2nd, 1956, Wing D lead custodian, Harold Finch. This is for personal records only. I don't think the board believes what we've been reporting. We sealed room 7B last week. Again, someone, or something, keeps unlocking it. But that's not the strange part. Every time I sweep that hallway, my keys start vibrating. Only in front of 7B, nowhere else. There's no draft, no vent, but I hear whispering in the mop water. Yesterday, I found a dead bird inside the hallway light fixture. It was staring at me. The eyes weren't glassy. They blinked once, then dried out. At exactly 3:13 this morning, room 7B's door clicked open. No one touched it. Inside was a chair, a mirror, and in the mirror, I saw myself, but I was crying. My reflection held something, a scalpel. I haven't worked in medical since my accident, but somehow I knew that room was for me. I locked it again. I burned the mirror. It came back. Please don't let them play this after 3:13 a.m. because that's when it watches. My hands were shaking. I looked at the dashboard clock. 3:17 a.m. I had broken the rule. I unplugged everything and stepped out of the car to breathe. And that's when I saw it. The front gate of Merriwick Hill, still chained, still padlocked, was slightly open. No signs of force, no sound, just open. I left. I didn't speak to anyone for a week, but that night my phone glitched. Screen turned black for a few seconds, and in the static, I heard Harold's voice. You shouldn't have listened. There are 5 tapes left. One of them isn't labeled. The 4th reel had no label, no name, no date, just a strip of blood-stained gauze around it, like the last one. I played it at noon, inside a local university sound lab. Soundproof walls, monitored air, didn't matter. It's not a hospital, it's a wound. They built it over something that breathed. The basement isn't a basement. They told me I wasn't real, so I stopped being. He fed the lights. That's why they flicker now. I counted the teeth in the mirror. There were too many. Room 7B never had a door. We made it remember it did. He walks in 3s. Footsteps. Footsteps. Drag. Don't blink where the shadows pool. I dream of the elevator, but it never moves. When it does, it doesn't go down. It goes back. Back to when we still screamed in color. You're already here. I froze. The engineer monitoring the waveform saw something strange. There were extra frequency spikes in the file, in the subsonic range. He enhanced it, cleaned it, and in the background, buried deep under the voices, was breathing, rhythmic, patterned, like something listening back. He asked where I got the tape. I didn't answer, because I could feel it too. That faint hum in my ears didn't stop after I took off the headphones. That night I didn't sleep, not because I couldn't, because I kept hearing voices whispering. Back to when we screamed in color, and the mirror in my hotel room cracked from the inside. There are 4 more tapes. One of them has my name written on it. I found the 5th reel inside the old administrator's office. The desk drawers were gone. The file cabinets melted together, like someone tried to burn them shut. The reel was sitting on the floor, alone, wrapped in wax paper. On it, written in faint pencil, Isaac, do not listen alone. That's my name. I never told anyone I was researching this place. I never posted it online. I never shared it outside my inner notes. No one knew, but the reel did. He came looking for truth. He held a microphone, not a prayer. He wanted to remember in a place designed to forget. Isaac, I know you're listening. You walked where the wind won't enter. Room 7B watched you through a wall that shouldn't exist. The mirror wasn't broken when you arrived, but it is now. You've been heard. We've already begun remembering you. You won't know when the tape stops, because we've learned how to play inside your head. I took the headphones off slowly. My hands were cold. My face damp. I hadn't moved. The tape lasted 3 minutes, but when I looked at the studio clock, 17 minutes had passed. I checked my audio interface. It hadn't recorded anything, not a single waveform, just a blank file titled, You're Already Here. Wave. I tried deleting it. The file copied itself, twice. Then the studio lights flickered, and in the reflection of the dark monitor screen, someone behind me mouthed the words, You brought us back. There are 3 more reels, and one of them wasn't recorded at Merriwick Hill. It was recorded in my voice, but I've never said what's on it. I wasn't planning to play the 6th reel, not because I was scared, because I recognized my voice. Before pressing play, the label was blank, but when I touched the tape, my phone lit up, unlocked itself, opened the voice recorder app, and there it was, a file I never made. Time-stamped 2 days before I entered Merriwick Hill, titled Test Log Dr. Isaac Harrow. I never recorded that, but I pressed play. This is Dr. Isaac Harrow. Audio notes for subject Marion. Room 7. Be patient appears to exhibit reality fragmentation. Mirrors behave inconsistently. Reflection sometimes shows previous locations, not current. Testing light exposure reactions. She just blinked, but her eyes were already closed. I'm beginning to lose time. Notes appear in my handwriting I don't recall writing. Last night I dreamt of the asylum burning down, but the tape survived. There are too many reflections in the glass. Some are watching back. I think I've recorded this already. I think I'm inside it now. Play the next tape. Isaac. I stared at the speaker. It was my voice. It wasn't my memory, but the final line, play the next tape, wasn't on the file anymore when I replayed it. Just a hard stop. No whisper. My phone? Battery drained. Wouldn't restart. I took out the reel. The back of the tape had a scratch, almost like a carved symbol. I looked it up. It was an old Sanskrit variant. It meant cycle. There are only 2 reels left now. One of them was found under a patient's tongue. The other just appeared in my bag. I wasn't supposed to get this one. Tape number 7 was marked as evidence, not archive. Stored in a private box, off records, filed under a patient's name I'd never heard before. Jonas Delmer, Wing F, status expired. Inside the file was a post-mortem note. Subject was found dead in isolation to cell 02. No prior medical history. Cause, cardiac arrest during containment protocol. But the note wasn't handwritten, it was typed, and the ink bled. Who types on paper that bleeds? The reel came wrapped in body bag plastic, and someone had written, in red ink, "This is not playback. This is return." I should have stopped, but I didn't. He chewed through the stitches to speak again. The words weren't his. They were waiting. I remember your name, Isaac, because he remembered it first. Jonas, said the mirrors, whisper your voice now. He carved your initials into his tongue. This room is a mouth. You keep entering it. Every time you listen, we chew a little deeper. You heard this. You heard this. You heard this. Patient 22 identified the researcher, replaying pattern, initiating merge. Isaac was never outside. The air in the room changed. I checked the time. 3:13 a.m. again. But this time, I never set the recorder. I never wore headphones. I just heard it. In the room. Around me. I turned on my backup mic, the one never plugged in, and played the silence back. There was one word embedded deep in the waveform, barely visible, digitally scrambled. But when cleaned up, it said, "We are recording you now." There is one reel left. The tape is blank, no voice, no label. But when I hold it near any speaker, I hear my own breathing, faster. The 8th reel had no sound, at least not in the beginning. I tried playing it on every device I owned. Analog, digital, studio grade. Nothing. Just silence until I stepped away. I left it running and walked across the room. That's when the waveform shifted. It started recording, but there was no mic connected, just the reel spinning on its own. Slowly, and then a single voice whispered. It was me, my voice. This is Isaac Harrow, logging final entry. There are no more tapes left, because I am the last one. The reel remembers what I forgot. My first step into Marowak was never the beginning. They didn't trap me here. I've always been inside. I'm recording this now, but I don't remember speaking. And I can hear you listening, right now. Isaac was never your name. The reel stopped spinning. I unplugged everything, left the studio. When I reached my car, my phone buzzed. It had auto-recorded something while I was inside, a new file. I opened it. No voice, no static, just breathing. My breathing. Only. I hadn't spoken a word in that room. The screen glitched, and before shutting off, showed one final message. Thank you for playing. If you're hearing this, and you ever come across a tape without a label, don't press play, and if you already did, then maybe we're not that different anymore. This was Grim Whisper Studios. And some stories aren't told. They're recorded into you. Subscribe before you forget who pressed play first. Welcome to Grim Whisper Studios. Here we don't just tell stories, we revisit the ones the world tried to forget. If you want more real, chilling, true event-based horror, hit that like, subscribe, and share with someone who still believes in the dark. And in the comments, tell me what kind of story you want next, because next time, I just might tell your story. Now, let's begin. My name is Ryan Mitchell. I'm 32, originally from Oregon. In 2018, I traveled to India on a photojournalism assignment. I wasn't looking for anything strange, just documenting local traditions, rural culture, forgotten towns. One evening in a village near Jaisalmer, a man approached me, barefoot, thin, wearing a torn shawl and a red thread tied around his wrist. He asked if I was American. I nodded. He smiled, but his eyes were wrong. They looked like dried, cracked clay. Not lenses, not an infection, just wrong. He said one sentence before walking away. The sand forgets nothing. Later that night, the local host I was staying with pulled me aside. He asked me if I had spoken to anyone strange, especially near the old cremation dunes. I told him about the man. He went pale. He told me in a hushed voice, "That man isn't alive. You met a tantric's echo." I thought it was a folktale, but when I reviewed my camera roll from that day, the photo I took in that moment, it was gone. The frame existed, but the man wasn't in it, just sand and the red thread floating in the air. That night, I heard a scratching sound outside my door and someone whispering a word in Sanskrit again and again, bhool, which I later found out means forget. But I didn't forget. I wish I had. After that night, I didn't sleep well. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that whisper, bhool, bhool, bhool. 3 nights later, I left that village, took a train back to Jaipur. I told myself I was just tired, that the desert was playing tricks on me, but something came with me. Welcome to Grim Whisper Studios. Here, we don't just tell stories, we revisit the ones the world tried to forget. If you want more real, chilling, true event-based horror, hit that like, subscribe, and share with someone who still believes in the dark. And in the comments, tell me what kind of story you want next, because next time, I just might tell your story. Now, let's begin. My name is Ryan Mitchell. I'm 32, originally from Oregon. In 2018, I traveled to India on a photojournalism assignment. I wasn't looking for anything strange, just documenting local traditions, rural culture, forgotten towns. One evening, in a village near Jaisalmer, a man approached me, barefoot, thin, wearing a torn shawl and a red thread tied around his wrist. He asked if I was American. I nodded. He smiled, but his eyes were wrong. They looked like dried, cracked clay. Not lenses, not an infection, just wrong. He said one sentence before walking away. The sand forgets nothing. Later that night, the local host I was staying with pulled me aside. He asked me if I had spoken to anyone strange, especially near the old cremation dunes. I told him about the man. He went pale. He told me in a hushed voice, "That man isn't alive. You met a tantric's echo." I thought it was a folktale, but when I reviewed my camera roll from that day, the photo I took in that moment, it was gone. The frame existed, but the man wasn't in it, just sand and the red thread floating in the air. That night, I heard a scratching sound outside my door and someone whispering a word in Sanskrit again and again, bhool, which I later found out means forget. But I didn't forget. I wish I had. After that night, I didn't sleep well. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that whisper, bhool, bhool, bhool. 3 nights later, I left that village, Took a train back to Jaipur. I told myself I was just tired, that the desert was playing tricks on me. But something came with me. Inside my hotel room, I started waking up at 3:13 a.m. Every night, same time, no dreams, just a pressure in the air, like something was standing near me, but refusing to be seen. The fourth night, I woke up and saw handprints. Not bloody, not dirty, just dry. On the mirror, the windows, even the inside of my suitcase, like hands made of dust had touched everything. I packed everything and booked a flight home. When I landed back in Oregon, things felt normal for a few days, until I noticed something wrong in my bathroom. On the mirror, barely visible, written in what looked like smeared ash, was a word. Yad. I had to Google it. It means, remember. I tried scrubbing it. It wouldn't come off. I replaced the mirror. Next night, the word was back. Different mirror. Same message. That's when I realized it wasn't written on the glass. It was inside it. The word inside the mirror, Yad, started showing up on reflective surfaces all over the house. Windows, laptop screen, even the glass of my wristwatch. Always faint, always from the inside, but only at night. I brought a local Indian friend, Rohan, who grew up around these stories. I thought maybe he'd laugh it off. He didn't. He didn't even touch the mirror. He just stared at it and whispered something under his breath. Then he looked at me and said, very quietly, "You brought it back. A tantric curse doesn't end where your flight lands." I asked him what he meant. He said sometimes, when a spirit is left behind after an incomplete ritual, it needs a vessel, and memory is the perfect container, because it can't be destroyed. I didn't understand what he meant until I started seeing myself where I shouldn't be, in a reflection, but not matching my movements. I'd blink, the reflection didn't. I'd look down, he'd keep staring. One night I filmed it on my phone. I set my phone down, camera facing the mirror, hit record, and left the room. When I played it back, my reflection stood there, still, not blinking, even after I'd walked away. And then it smiled. Only, I never smiled. The night after the smile, I covered every mirror in the house. Blankets, paint, even tape. I thought if it couldn't see me, maybe it would stop, but I was wrong. That same night I heard scratching, not from a window, from inside the walls. And then the whispering returned, but it wasn't saying pool anymore. It was saying my name. Ryan, Ryan, Ryan. I called Rohan again, begged him to come over. When he walked in, he stopped at the hallway and froze. He asked if I had burned anything recently. I said no. He pointed at the floor, and I saw it. A line of ash, thin, perfect, leading from my bathroom mirror to the front door. Rohan told me one last thing before he left. Some curses don't haunt places, they haunt choices. He handed me something wrapped in cloth, a small copper plate with Sanskrit carved into it, a protection yantra. He told me to place it near where I saw the word Yad last. That night I did as he said. I placed the plate near my bedroom window. I barely slept. Around 3:13 a.m., I woke up to a sound I still can't describe, like glass shattering, but in reverse. When I opened my eyes, the window wasn't there anymore. Just an open desert, wind blowing, sand swirling, and the man with the clay eyes standing in it. He wasn't smiling this time. He just raised his hand and pointed behind me. I turned slowly, and I saw myself, but older, eyes black, skin dry, no expression, and he whispered, "You were warned. The sand forgets nothing." Then everything went black. I woke up on the floor, the desert, the window, the reflection, gone. But something had changed. My room smelled like smoke, old burnt incense, and the mirror, the one I had covered completely, was uncovered again. The cloth was folded neatly on the floor. I stood up, and for a second, I swore the mirror was just normal, until I looked closely. My reflection was looking back, but this time, it wasn't me anymore. Same face, same body, but the eyes, they were clay, cracked, dry, hollow. And then it blinked, slow, and whispered, "You remembered." The lights went out. Every surface in the room began reflecting something. My phone screen, my watch, the glass frame on the wall. All of them showed different versions of me, crying, screaming, staring, one by one. They began mouthing the same word, pool, pool, pool. I closed my eyes. I didn't want to see anymore. I grabbed the copper plate Rohan had given me and held it tight. I whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to see it. I didn't mean to bring it back." Silence. Then, one last whisper came, not from the room, not from the mirror, from inside me. "But now, you are it." The ash returned the next morning. This time it formed a circle around my bed. I haven't slept properly since. I tried breaking every mirror in the house. I moved. New city, new apartment. No glass, no reflection, no memory. But last week someone sent me a photo on Instagram. It was a selfie taken in Jaisalmer. Behind them, faintly visible, was a figure, thin, shawl over his shoulders, and cracked, clay-colored eyes. He was staring into the camera, not at the person taking it, at me, and the caption said, "Random guy photobombed this." Weird, right? I deleted my account the same day, but I know it's too late, because now, every night, when I breathe onto any surface, a single word appears in the fog. Yad. If you're hearing this and planning a trip to Rajasthan, don't go near the dunes. Some stories are meant to be forgotten, but some places remember you. My name is Kyle. I'm from Oregon, and this happened in the summer of 2016 when I was 19. I went on a weekend camping trip with two of my closest friends, Jake and Ryan. We just graduated, wanted to do something old school before we all went our separate ways. Jake picked a spot deep in the Umpqua National Forest, somewhere off the trails. No tourists, no families, just us and the trees. The drive out took almost 6 hours. The last 30 minutes, no cell signal, no GPS, just forest roads, and trees so thick they made the sky look like dusk. We set up our tents around 6:30 p.m. Fire was crackling. Jake had a Bluetooth speaker. We cooked, laughed. Everything felt perfect. Until around 11 p.m. That's when we first heard it. Not an animal, not wind, not even a branch breaking. Just a whistle. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't far either. One long, slow whistle, coming from somewhere just beyond where the firelight ended. We froze. Ryan joked, "Probably just wind through the trees." But wind doesn't whistle like that, and it never happened again. Not that night. But something felt off. The air got colder. The woods felt quieter, like they were listening. We all slept in our separate tents. I woke up around 2:30 a.m., needing to pee, stepped outside, and that's when I noticed there were footprints near our fire pit. Fresh, but not from boots, not barefoot either. Just strange, almost like someone had walked in circles. I thought about waking Jake or Ryan, but didn't. I did my business, crawled back into my tent, zipped it up, tried to sleep, but I swear, right before I drifted off, I heard the whistle again, closer, and this time, it was followed by a voice. It whispered, "Kyle." The next morning, I didn't say anything about the footprints or the voice. I thought maybe I imagined it. You know how your brain plays games in the dark? I convinced myself. It was nothing. Jake and Ryan were already up, making coffee over the fire. Everything looked normal. No broken branches, no signs of anyone else. Just the forest. Still, huge, and empty. But I couldn't stop thinking about the footprints, or that voice. Later that afternoon, we hiked deeper into the woods, found a small stream, even jumped in. Felt good, like we were just three dumb kids again. Around 4 p.m., it got weird again. Ryan noticed something first. We were heading back to camp and past a tree. It had a mark on it. At first, we thought it was a carving, just some camper etching their name. But it wasn't initials or symbols. It was a word, one word, scratched deep into the bark. "Listen." We all stared at it. No one said anything for a minute. Then Jake laughed it off. Probably just some edgelord hiker. But we didn't laugh, because the carving looked fresh, like someone had made it recently. We made it back to camp just before sunset. We didn't talk about the tree, or the whistle, or how the woods suddenly felt, like they were watching. That night, we sat by the fire again. No music, just the sound of the fire crackling, and the wind in the trees. Around 11:30 p.m., it happened again. The whistle, long, slow, closer than before. Then footsteps, not running, just one step, then another, like someone pacing around us. But we saw nothing. The woods were dark. He turned pale, said he wanted to go. Right now. Jake didn't argue this time. We rushed back to camp, tried to take down the tents. That's when we heard it again, the whistle. But it wasn't the same. This time, it came from multiple directions, fast, short, like signals. We froze. Then, we heard footsteps, running, circling, fast, leaves crunching, branches cracking. Jake dropped everything and yelled, "Go!" We grabbed what we could and ran. No plan, no trail, just ran. I don't know how long we were running. Felt like hours, felt like minutes. But then I tripped. I hit the ground hard. My flashlight flew from my hand. I couldn't see anything. Couldn't hear Ryan. Couldn't hear Jake. Just breathing. Heavy. Panicked. Then I heard it. Close. Too close. Right behind me. The whistle. And then a voice. But it wasn't like before. It was louder, clearer, and wrong. Like it didn't know how to speak. It said, "Kyle, stay!" I got up. Ran, didn't look back, didn't care what I dropped, just ran. And eventually, I saw something. Headlights, Jake's car. I burst out of the tree line, fell to my knees, screamed his name. They were already there. Ryan was bleeding from his arm. Jake's shirt was torn. We didn't ask what happened. We jumped in. Jake floored it, didn't stop driving for 3 hours. None of us spoke. Not that night. Not for days. But that wasn't the end. Because what we saw in the rearview mirror still keeps me up at night. It's been 7 years. I still don't go near the woods. Not alone. Not with friends. Not at all. After that night, things were never the same. We left Oregon the next day. No one told our families the truth. We didn't file a report. We didn't call the Forest Service. We just ran from it. Mentally, physically, completely. But it didn't run from us. The first night back, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing it. In my head, in the wind, in the walls. That whistle. Not loud, not constant. Just there. Right when I was about to fall asleep. Jake called me 2 days later. He asked if I was sleeping okay. Said he'd heard his name whispered in his backyard. I laughed, said, "You're just stressed." But I knew what he meant. Because I had heard mine too. Ryan refused to talk about it. He blocked our numbers, deleted his socials, moved to Arizona. We haven't heard from him since 2018. But last year, Jake sent me a photo. It was a tree, somewhere near his parents' cabin, carved into the bark, in deep, jagged letters, Kyle. No explanation, no caption, just the photo. He died 2 weeks later, hiking alone, in a different forest. Coroner said it was an animal attack, but they never found the animal or his eyes. I've changed my number, moved cities, deleted every post from that summer. But sometimes, even now, I'll wake up in the middle of the night, the room cold, the air heavy, and I'll hear it. Whistle, then, Kyle, sometimes outside my window, sometimes behind my shower curtain, sometimes right behind me. So number, it didn't end in the woods. And this isn't a story about camping. It's a story about calling something that doesn't stop calling back. So if you're ever out there in the middle of nowhere and you hear a whistle, don't answer, don't speak, and whatever you do, don't turn around. This was Kyle. If you're watching this, don't camp there, ever. Camp 2. My name is Lauren. I'm from Montana. This happened in 2019, and I haven't camped since. I was with my boyfriend at the time, Daniel. We'd been dating for 2 years, wanted to get away from people, from phones, from the internet, just us in the woods. He picked a spot about 3 hours outside Missoula, near a river, totally off-grid. No reception, no rangers, just trail markers and word of mouth. He said it was a hidden gem, but something about the name stuck with me. Locals called it Black Hollow Creek. The hike in was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no wind, just tree and stillness. We reached the campsite around 6 p.m., set up our tent near the river bend, started a fire, cooked some food, shared a few laughs. But I remember feeling uneasy, like something was watching, listening. Around 9:30 p.m., Daniel said he needed to pee, walked into the trees behind us. I waited and waited, nearly 15 minutes. Then I called out, "Daniel?" No answer. I got up, started walking in the direction he went. That's when I heard it. Not him, not footsteps, just breathing, heavy, right behind me. I turned around. No one there. Then suddenly, Daniel came walking out from the other side, completely opposite of where he went in. I asked him, "Were you behind me just now?" He shook his head, said number, said he came straight back. We sat by the fire, tried to brush it off, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had been standing behind me. And when we got into the tent that night, I swear, just as I zipped it closed, I saw a shape, a tall, dark figure, standing at the tree line, still, unmoving. Then it stepped out of sight. That night, I barely slept. I kept hearing sounds outside the tent. Small things at first, twigs cracking, leaves shifting, but nothing big enough to be an animal. Around 2:30 a.m., I felt it. Not a noise, not movement. Breath, warm, slow, just inches from the tent wall, right where my head was. Daniel was asleep beside me, snoring lightly. I froze, didn't make a sound. And then it exhaled again, longer this time, like it knew I was listening. I slowly reached for my phone. No signal, no light, battery nearly dead. I didn't dare unzip the tent, didn't even want to blink. The breathing continued, for what felt like forever. Then, silence. I waited 5 more minutes before whispering, "Daniel, wake up." He groaned, rolled over. I didn't sleep again that night. In the morning, I checked the area outside the tent. The grass was pressed down, like someone had been kneeling there, right where I heard the breath. Daniel shrugged it off, said maybe a deer. But deer don't breathe that slow, that steady. They don't wait, they don't whisper. We went for a short hike to shake it off. Didn't go far, just followed the river upstream. That's when I noticed it. About 50 feet off trail, there was a clearing, small, circular, and wrong. The ground was flattened, not like from campers, but like something had been lying there, over and over again. In the middle, a pile of small bones, clean, arranged in a spiral. Daniel didn't see it at first. When he did, he stopped talking, Didn't even take a photo, just said, "We should leave tomorrow." Early. I nodded, but deep down, I knew we should have left now. Back at camp, something felt different. Not the air, not the light, the silence. It wasn't quiet anymore. It was heavy, like something was waiting for dark. We didn't speak much that evening, just sat by the fire, let it burn low. Daniel was quiet, too quiet, kept looking toward the trees, like he was waiting for something. Around 10:45 p.m., we both heard it, a single rock, landing in the center of our campsite, not tossed, dropped, no wind, no animal, just a small rock that hadn't been there a second earlier. Daniel stood up fast, spun around with the flashlight. Nothing, just trees and dark. Then another rock, from the other side. He yelled out, "Who's there?" Silence. We put out the fire, went straight into the tent. Didn't bother changing, just zipped it closed and lay there. Frozen. No phones, no weapons. Just two terrified people in a nylon bag. At first, nothing. Only wind in the leaves. Then, footsteps. Software. Padded. Slow. Circling. They weren't heavy, but they were intentional. One step. Pause, another step. Then, scratching right along the back of the tent. Fingertips. Dragging. Not claws. Not twigs. Fingers. Then it stopped. We held our breath. I swear I felt my heartbeat in my ears. Then suddenly, something pressed against the tent wall. Hard, right where Daniel's shoulder was, like a hand or a face, leaning in. He didn't move, didn't speak, but I heard him whisper, "It's not walking anymore." I didn't ask what he meant, didn't want to know. And then came the worst part, a voice, right outside the tent, calm, flat, wrong. It said, "There's no one left but you two." I grabbed Daniel's hand. He was shaking. So was I. We didn't sleep. We didn't blink. Just waited. And eventually, morning came. But the fear didn't leave, because outside the tent, we found a gift. A small pile of dirt, stacked carefully. On top of it, a tooth. We didn't pack. We just left. Left the firewood. Left the tent. Left everything. We didn't even look back at the river. Daniel held that flashlight like a weapon, but it didn't matter. Whatever was out there, it didn't need light. We hiked in silence. 6 miles, no trail markers, just instinct. Somewhere behind us, we both knew. It was still walking. We made it back to the car around 8 a.m. Still no signal. We drove. Fast. Windows down. Music up. Anything to drown it out. But silence followed us. 2 days later, Daniel started sleepwalking. His mom found him outside one night, standing barefoot in their backyard, facing the woods. Not moving, not speaking, just standing. He didn't remember it the next morning, but I did, because the same night, I woke up to a whistle outside my window, low, slow, exactly like in the forest. I live on the 3rd floor. Over the next few weeks, we stopped speaking. Daniel changed, started twitching, started hearing things. He said, "It's in the static now." I didn't ask what he meant. I didn't want to know. He was last seen walking into Flathead National Forest, alone. Search teams found his phone and one of his shoes. Nothing else. That was 4 years ago. Sometimes I hear him. Sometimes I hear the breathing. Sometimes I feel the pressure on my tent wall, even though I'm in my own bed. I don't camp anymore. I don't hike. I don't go near trees. And if I do, and it ever gets too quiet, and you feel the air get colder, leave. Because sometimes the forest doesn't want you to leave. And sometimes it follows you home. This was Lauren. If you hear a voice near your tent, don't answer. Camp 3. My name is Ethan. This happened in 2015 in northern Alberta, Canada. I was 21. A few college friends and I decided to go camping for the weekend. Just three of us. Me, Chris, and Devin. Devin knew this isolated forest area through his uncle. No campgrounds, no other hikers, no cell towers. Completely off-grid. We brought our own tents, food, even a flare gun, just in case. The plan was simple. Get lost in nature. Disconnect, recharge. We arrived late afternoon. The drive-in was rough, muddy dirt road, almost no signs, and trees so thick they blocked the sun by 6 p.m. We hiked about an hour in before we found a small open patch near a dried-out creek. No paths, no trash, no fire rings. It was untouched. Chris said, "This is perfect. No people, no noise." He was wrong about the second part. The first night was uneventful. Normal stuff. Campfire, dumb stories, cheap beer. We crashed around midnight. I fell asleep listening to owls in the distance and the sound of wind moving through pine needles. But around 3 a.m., I woke up, not from a sound, from a feeling, like I wasn't alone. I sat up slowly, unzipped my tent just a few inches, looked out toward the fire pit. Nothing. Then I turned my head slightly, and I swear, there was someone standing near the trees, just past the light from the dying fire, not moving, not saying anything, just standing. I froze, watched for at least 30 seconds. Then, the figure took a step back and vanished into the trees. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning I told the guys. Chris laughed it off. Devin didn't. He looked at me and said, "You sure he walked away? Not toward us?" We tried to play it cool the next day. Devin said it was probably a poacher or a hunter passing by, but poachers don't just stand and watch, and they don't show up in the middle of nowhere without a sound. By afternoon, it started getting windy. We couldn't hear much beyond the rustling trees. We stayed close to camp, built the fire earlier. Tents zipped, food sealed, everything by the book. But I still felt it, that pressure, like the forest had changed. Around 9:30 p.m., Chris stepped away to pee, took the flashlight, went maybe 20 feet behind the tents. We kept talking, me and Devin, until we heard him scream, loud, panic in his voice. We bolted toward the sound. Chris was on the ground. He'd tripped over something. We helped him up. He looked pale, shaken. He said, "Someone just whispered behind me." Devin asked, "What did it say?" Chris stared at us, eyes wide, voice low. "It said my name." We searched around with flashlights. Nothing. No footprints, no animals, no gear missing. But when we got back to the campfire, something was different. Near the edge of the site, a tree had a deep scratch on it, vertical, clean, fresh. It hadn't been there earlier. And below it, half buried in leaves, a boot print, not ours, too big, and barefoot inside it. That night, we all slept in one tent. Devin stayed awake with a knife in his hand. Chris whispered every hour, "Did you hear that?" I didn't want to answer, because I did hear it. Leaves, branches, breathing, circling us. And just once, something brushed the tent fabric from the outside. But we didn't move, didn't unzip it, didn't speak, because we knew, whatever it was, it didn't want to come in. It wanted us to come out. We left the tent around 7 a.m. No one had really slept. Devin looked dead silent. Chris was shaking. I didn't ask how long they'd been awake. I knew we all heard it. The movement, the breathing, the presence. We packed quickly. Didn't even bother with breakfast. Just shoved everything into our bags. But then, Devin asked, "Where's the flare gun?" We checked the tent. Not there. Checked the fire pit, the gear pile, my backpack. Gone. Chris looked at me and said, "Someone was inside the tent." I wanted to deny it, but deep down, I already knew. We agreed we'd hike back. Now no campfire, no trail breaks, just straight out. Devin led with the compass. I kept checking behind us, but the woods were too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, empty quiet. After about 40 minutes, Devin stopped. He said, "This isn't right." He pointed to a tree. On the bark, a piece of orange nylon cord, tied in a loose loop, from our tent bag. Then we saw another, 10 feet ahead, and another, and another. Breadcrumbs, leading deeper in. But we never dropped them. Chris whispered, "We're going in circles." And he was right, because 10 minutes later, we passed the same rock pile we built on night one. We were back at our campsite, but our tents were gone. Not collapsed, not torn, gone. All of it. Firewood, cooler, flashlights, even our footprints. Wiped away. Chris just sat down, didn't speak. Devin backed away from the clearing. That's when we heard it. Not footsteps, not whistling, not a voice. Laughter, low, dry, coming from inside the trees. Not close, but not far. We ran. Didn't care about direction, just ran. Branches cutting our arms, thorns ripping our shirts. And then we heard it again, closer, that same laughter. But now, it said something, one word. "Stay!" We didn't stop running, not until we saw a logging road. It looked empty, familiar. Or maybe we just wanted it to be. We followed it for miles, no map, no compass, just instinct and fear. Around 4 p.m., we heard a car, a single pickup, rusted, old, driven by a hunter named Mark. He didn't ask many questions, but when we told him what we saw, he didn't act surprised. He just said, "That trail's not on any map anymore." Locals avoid it, been doing that for decades. He dropped us at a gas station 40 minutes out. We didn't speak the entire ride. Devin moved to Alaska a month later, said he never wanted to see trees again. Chris dropped out of school, said he hears voices at night, that they laugh in his dreams, that the whisper says, "You saw me, now you belong." I tried to forget, tried therapy, tried medication, even tried writing this story down. But sometimes, even now, I wake up to find dirt on my carpet, like someone walked in, like something tracked mud from the woods. I live on the second floor, no pets, no open windows, and once, just once, I found a boot print by the foot of my bed. No tread, just bare sole, large, unfamiliar, and around the edge, a single scratch, like a nail had dragged across the wood. I don't go camping anymore, and if you ever do, don't follow unofficial trails, don't ignore your gut, and don't ever think you're alone out there, because not everything in the woods lives there. Some things wait there, and when you leave, they might follow you back.